Reading is how you acquire new knowledge. Reading is how you expand your worldview. Reading is how you spot new opportunities. Reading is how you absorb 10 years of experience in 8 hours. When you're bored, pick up a book, not your phone. A tweet from Danko. I used to absolutely hate reading. I remember vividly summer holidays where my whole family would be reading and I would just be there agitated, frustrated, bored with nothing to do. They'd all be reading, but I'd rather tug my eyes out than read a book. Just the idea of sitting down and reading felt like the most boring thing ever. Why couldn't I just watch the movie of it? Why reading? Just hated it. Reading that's work. That's what we do at school. That's not my idea of a holiday. And I remember my mum would ask me to read, and it just feels so effortful. It just feels so painful. But equally, I'd sit there and watch my mum reading and my sister reading and brother even, and think, it kind of looks fun. If I could just do it and just enjoy it. But I honestly, it was the worst thing in the world for me. It was just, there was nothing worse for me than picking up a book and reading on the beach or when on holiday. And quite honestly, I blame school for this. At school, I'd have the likes of Dickens, Jane Austen, Edith Wharton novels shoved down my throat with the expectation of having to analyse the shit out of every single page. To be clear, they're 3 incredible novelists. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from them. It's just not at all what I wanted to read at the time. I felt like I was being force-fed food that I consistently disliked, kept saying no to, yet despite that, would be fed it. Each time reinforcing my belief of how disgusting that food was. I tried buying more books, buying Kindle books, buying shorter books, buying books of which I'd seen the film, sitting down at a particular time every day to read, but the pain of reading had been so consistently reinforced by this point, the age of 10, even 11, that I couldn't turn it into a consistent, enjoyable habit. I wanted more than anything to read more, to read faster, and to love reading. And 10 years later, I found the solution to all 3. Towards the end of last year, I read in Dan Koh's newsletter to read and listen to information from the perspective of hunting for ideas. To read with a butterfly net, with the objective of catching butterflies, ideas which you note down. Before, I passively read, just for the sake of reading, to be able to tell others that I read a book a week, 2 books a month. It wasn't even that, to be honest. To read a book every 3 months, that would be a flex for me. But now I read with a purpose. I read to hunt for ideas that resonate, that make me think, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I'm going to apply that right now. Here's how you do it. Here is the process of this idea hunting, to give you as good a feeling as you have when you're playing video games and you win the battle royale, you come first, or when you're scrolling on social media and you see one of those cat reels and it just makes you think, oh my God, that's so cute, let me keep scrolling. That kind of dopamine, that kind of feel-good feeling of, oh my God, that aha moment. Here's how you read to give you those aha moments. Number 1, only read what you are currently interested in reading. If you want to build an aesthetic physique, read a book on bodybuilding. If you want to learn how to build an audience on social media, read a book about how to capture and hold attention. If you want girls to like you, read a book on dating, male-female dynamics, how to be chill, how to speak to women, whatever it is. Read whatever it is that you are currently interested in. Read books that are relevant to what you want to achieve, and reading will never seem boring. That's a quote from James Clear. Reading what you're interested in is reading to achieve something that you want, aka money, status, happiness, or something that you want to be better at, skills. Number 2, read at least 3 books at the same time. Collect books. Even if you don't plan on reading them right away, nothing is more important than an unread library. That's a quote from Steal Like an Artist. Given that our aim here is to hunt for ideas, I want you to read in much the same way as you scroll on your phone. I want you to scroll read. Obviously, it's much easier to scroll on your phone than it is to read a book. So here's how to make it easier on yourself. Every time you sit down on the bog and open the Kindle app to read, spend 30 seconds choosing, number one, the book that most appeals to you at the time. Remember, from your selection of at least 3, I'd recommend 5, 6 at the same time, actually. Number 2, choosing the chapter of that book that most appeals to you. What this does is it makes reading and sitting down to read more exciting. Because I know you want to read, but the idea of sitting down to read is so boring, or it's just not as easy as it is to sit down and watch Netflix or to sit down and scroll on Instagram. So that's what we need to solve. That problem of being boring to sit down and scroll, sitting down and reading rather, is the problem we need to solve. And this is how you solve it. You pick the book, you pick the chapter, and it's exciting. You've got your selection of books and you go, which one am I going to read? Am I going to read about Goggins Can't Hurt Me Discipline, or am I going to read The Diary of a CEO, The 33 Laws of Business and Life, or am I going to read Steal Like an Artist, or this book on public speaking, storytelling? And then you pick the chapter. Like, you click on that, but I'm actually right. I'm gonna read about storytelling. And then you click on the chapter. Oh, chapter 5. Don't use ums and ahs. I need to improve my ability to not use ums and ahs. Let's read that chapter. That's this level of excitement that you have when you use this method. Read what you love until you love to read. Naval Ravikant. And I think you can apply, as I just said, that quote to not just the books themselves, but chapters within those books. Read the chapters you want to read first, and then when it comes to the ones that you don't want to read as much, skim them to see if they're interesting, and if they're not, forget them. At school, you're told to read a book, cover to cover, front to back, beginning to end. That is a myth. Reading isn't a competition. It's not a vanity complex. It's to extract ideas that resonate with you, to apply for the betterment of your life. So stop thinking of reading as some study, boring, vanity thing that you do to look cool. You do it because you love to do it. You do it because you're genuinely intrigued as to how to be able to walk down the street and be confident. So you read a book about confidence. Or you want to be able to lift a weight without being judged. And because you're worried about being judged, you don't go to the gym. Read a book about how to overcome fear of judgment. And number 3, have a reason to read. Most people struggle to remember what they read because they don't have a reason to remember what they read. A weekly newsletter, such as the one that I have here, offers a reason to learn, collect, and synthesize your pool of ideas. When you're reading, hunt for ideas, wait for dopamine to strike, highlight when it does, use what you've highlighted as ideas for your newsletter. It's not your job to find a book interesting, it's the book's job to be interesting to you. Going to the gym and reading books will solve 90% of your problems. Another nice quote from Alexander Books. If you're still not convinced about whether you should read and start a newsletter to offer you that why for reading, here's another reason for you. Your ability to speak clearly is enhanced by reading, not listening to books, and by writing and journaling incomplete sentences. A quote from the neurobiologist Andrew Huberman. So if you're not going to take it from me, take it from the Stanford man himself. Oh, but Alex, I haven't got the attention span to read. You've just watched to the end of this video. You can. Buy 3 books right now that you've wanted to read for a while. Start with 10 minutes of reading per day and crack on in. I'll leave you with this quote. You deserve a vacation. You work hard, you sacrifice, you push yourself. It's time for a break. Hop on a plane, check into your hotel, and head to the beach. But tuck a book under your arm. And not a trashy beach read. Make sure you enjoy your relaxation like a poet, not idly but actively, observing the world around you, taking it all in, better understanding your place in the universe. Take a day off from work every now and then, but not a day off from learning. Books, reading, they offer so much fulfillment. And I read it the other day in Naval Ravikant's almanac, in fact, from someone that said, I never feel as though I'm wasting time when I'm reading. Reading, no matter what it is, even if it is a trashy novel, is never a waste of time. Because even if you are reading trashy novels, eventually you'll end up reading something more substantial, profound, and more in line to your values and what you like and your interests. All reading is good reading. All reading is productivity. So that solves that problem as well. How do I be productive all day? You hear all these people saying, I want to be productive all day. Read. You've got nothing to do? Great. Read. And a little side note as well. Because I'm on a year abroad in South America, and also because my Kindle was stolen in Benidorm, believe it or not, when I was on tennis tour last summer, I am actually reading on the mobile device that I'm using to record this video. I'm reading on my phone, and it's not ideal, but it's possible. I read between sets. I read before bed. I read whilst I'm eating meals. Read, 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 read. Idea hunting. I skim. I don't necessarily read through every single page. I get hooked into a chapter. I read it. Other chapters, boring. I read the first paragraph of that chapter. Okay, I get the gist. I move on. That is how you read. Or at least that's how you learn to enjoy to read. And then from there, it becomes so much easier. Catch you in the next one. Ciao.